Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a video to understand people and to understand how how you might see them and how they come across and so on. So let's say, for example, you've got this person. Okay, so you've got this person here, and this person is someone that you want to understand, but all you see is a person. It could be a person that you've known for some time. It could be a person that you've just seen. Whatever the case is, you've got a history of this person. These are different parts of a person which you don't normally see. So what I'm trying to do here is to give you an understanding of the different aspects of a person's life. So they've got a whole history of their life. Okay, history of their life. That's one part. You've also got a major part will be their home, and I'll come to that in a little while. You've got a person might be in school, college, or university, or they might be studying something else. Okay, so let's just say that's the study area. You've also got a person and you've got their work. So they could be working somewhere. Okay. Now you've also got people and their friends. Okay, people and friends. You've got people who will have a life apart from friends. These are friends. When we say friends, they're real people that they're spending time with. You might have people that will spend time on social media. So you've got all these aspects. Now, there are other things which don't come to one's mind straight away. For example, you've got health, which is a really big part of one's life. And you've got here, I'm going to put another part here, which is one's abilities. Okay, so abilities, skills. Okay, this is another whole part of you could even say hobbies in here, what people like to do. Okay, so this is a sort of an area which most people have, or something that they sort of do. Now, with looking at a person from all these different aspects, you've got still a lot of filling to do before you can understand a person, before you can possibly judge, or maybe make some true sense of how they really are. Because if you just look at that person, you don't see any of this normally. But if you bring everything together, you get a much better picture of a person. And normally when we interact with people, we're not really looking at any of these things, and we're not trying to balance things. So for example, home, let's go back to home. Now home, things could be, and there's always going to be ups and downs, but generally the person could be sort of happy with whatever is going on, or the person could be unhappy with whatever is happening there. And there could be a whole history of things that surround the person. You've got to take in consideration family members. Okay, you could even think about this person might be affected by someone who's probably died in the family, someone who's been born into the family, all sorts of things. Okay, where they're living. Okay, so where they're living and so on, and that brings a whole different part. So from home, you could draw a line and say what kind of area they're living in, because that's going to have a big effect. Now some of this is linked like to friends or to other things, but the area one lives in will have some form of effect on them. If you just take, for example, school, college, university, studies area, depending on what they've studied, they will have a mindset. Okay, how they've studied, what they've studied. So even if it is in a study area where it's all open and they can ask questions, freely, that will have an effect on them. If they're not able to ask free questions, like you get some parts of the world that can't do that, then as they grow up, there's going to be an effect that will have be on their mindset. Okay, whether they are open or not to asking questions and how they interact and so on. Okay, let's look at health. We're not looking only at something which is the physical side, which most people will just look at. So if you're not seeing this person disabled, whatever, you think, well, everything must be going okay. But there's also this mental side, which most people don't even see or even have any botheration and anything to do with, wanting to know, find out, appreciate whatever it might be going on inside the person, right? Work, that brings its own challenges. Okay, someone could be, very thrilled at what they've got. Okay, so they're very, again, very joyful of their work or what they do. Okay, or they probably, they probably hate their job. Okay, it could be anything, right? But that's another whole work, that's another whole area. And there's going to be colleagues, right? So let's just bring out colleagues. And from the colleagues, you'll get people who might like or dislike who they've got and the influences that come. So you can already see, look, there's an influence from the house, there's an influence in the probably study area, influence of health, or influence of colleagues at work. And let's come to friends. People have layers of friends. So you have close friends and you have distant friends. But ultimately, they will also have an effect on who this person is, right? Let's look at social media, depending on how often they're on there and who they interact with. So who they interact with, that will have an effect on this person. Okay. Now, of all of these, okay, skills you've got here, and of the skills, you've got many different skills that people can actually bring. But whatever hobbies and things, skills they do have and don't have will also have an effect, on this person and who they become. Now, this is one large part I've left out till the end. Why? Because this is a huge sort of part of one's life, which the deeper you go, the more you will learn about this person. So throughout their life, or anyone's life, if you understand the chapters, okay, let's just make these marks here. So let's just call it chapters. So let's say chapter 1, and then chapter 2 and 3 and 4. Now each of these chapters, as you go down, if you say, okay, first chapter is when a person is probably 0 till they went to primary school or something. Okay, so let's say 4 or 5 years old, right? And this one might be chapter 2, 5 till about 11 when they went to secondary school, and the kind of life that they had and the influences in that area. And this might be 11 till 16, and this one might be 16 to 25, and you can carry on with a person's life. And when you understand these chapters, you can break down the chapters into sub chapters and understand them further. And it's a very good way of knowing a person, because you get to know gradually the entire influence of what has happened, because all these things are currently what's going on in their lives. But this will give you, on all these levels, it will give you a whole history of what they've actually gone through. And when you look at that, let's just say, for example, you came across a person. If you're able to actually say, well, you know what most people actually will do is, you come across someone and you kind of meet them straight away, blah, you assume, like, for example, you haven't seen anything wrong with their physical health. You think straight away, well, they're fine, but there might be something wrong with their mental health. You met them, they said, yeah, you said, have you got a job? Yeah, I've got a job. Yeah, I work somewhere. Straight away you understand that, okay, what kind of job? They say a really good job, really good job. Let's say, for example, they're working, as an engineer. You think, wow, that's brilliant. You've got a really good job. But what you don't scratch beyond the surface is to understand who the colleagues or anything are, or challenges they might have, whether they hate it or what like it, whatever. I mean, you don't need to go into that straight away, but just because someone's told you that they've got a good job as an engineer and they're relatively happy doesn't mean that everything's going okay. Just because someone hasn't told you who their friends are, you don't know who they really are. Home, for example, family members, especially if someone's married and they've got a wife or a husband and they've got probably children involved, you don't know, because every single person who comes into the family either is going to make them more happy or going to make them somewhat unhappy. And just because someone's got a roof over their head, a beautiful, let's say, beautiful house, okay, and you look at it and you think, wow, this guy's got it, man. Allah's given him a beautiful house, beautiful family. Just because people have got that and so on doesn't mean that everything's all right, and doesn't mean that your judgment is right. That's my whole point, is really about your judgment of this person may most likely not be right until you really get to know them. Just because you interact with someone on social media, just because you have contacted them somehow, and you know them through social media, does not mean that you know them through all these other areas of their life. It does not mean that. You see someone at school, college, you've seen them day to day. They might share part of their life with you, but they may never share the entirety of what's going on. Now, why this is really important is, if you want to do what Islam says, you've got to do something called husnul dhan. Okay. Now, husnul dhan is really it's a beautiful it's a beautiful way of having thoughts about one another. Okay, so husnul dhan is when you think good of one another. Okay? Another way is to think good. And when we say think good, it means that, okay, I assume that I'm going to see this person as best as I can in all these different areas. And husnul dhan is also, for example, someone has failed in something, someone is not performing well, someone is in a way doing something which you don't appreciate. Straight away you think, well, this person, blah 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 blah. Now, if you have the husnul dhan, you think to yourself, I wonder if because of something going on in the house they're acting like this. I wonder someone, because of social media and its effects on them, they're acting like this. Or school, college, university, health, because of the health, which is mental, I can't see something inside. I wonder if because of that there's something there that needs, this person might need help. I mean, I haven't even brought in this financial situation. And if we take, if we just draw one line here, which is another big huge part of people's lives, the financial situation. Okay, you assume that everything's good because this person is financially good, looking good. It doesn't really, it doesn't always be the case, because of you just thinking or seeing something. It's not the case. The person has probably never borrowed any money from anyone doesn't necessarily mean that the person doesn't need anything. There could be all sorts of things. People, when you go to this area, even if you want to open this further, there's people who look very, wonderful, but they might have insecurities. Okay, they might have insecurities. There's people who will be okay with having friends, but then again, this person might be a victim of their sarcasm. Okay, That could be the case. And whatever the case is, you know, whether it's in the history of a person's life because of something happened, it could be a, you know, death in the family, okay, which we mentioned earlier. It could be someone in the family who's not, you know, someone in the family who hasn't really been performing so well. Whatever it is, all you're seeing really is you're just seeing this person, and you need to appreciate, like, to get that husnul dhan, to get good thought going on, you have to allow to, you know, time or something to understand. So one good way is to talk to the person, reach out to the person, understand, and people won't bring you all this stuff out in one day. It takes sometimes months, years to try and understand this. If they're really good, they'll tell you within days and hours, but most people won't do that to you. Most people will bring a little bit, and then they'll bring a little bit more, and then they'll say a little bit more, and so on, a little bit more. And then you appreciate, well, this person's going through a tough time. And do you know what? Everyone who's listening to this has got some area here, something that is not perfect. Everyone listening to this has got that. And everyone's got things that are wonderful in many of these areas, okay, or some of these areas. Husnul dhan is something that, you know, understanding people, to have good thoughts, and not to have this, which is you know, su'ul dhan. Su'ul dhan is to think bad about people, okay? So su'ul dhan is to think bad about people. So you don't allow, you know, you don't allow yourself to develop a good way of understanding people, at least excuses. That's what we're always saying, yeah? You don't allow for excuses for people. You kind of only just focusing, this guy's this guy's that, you know. How do you know? And what do you know? I mean, again, in this area of hobbies, ability, skills, do you know that everyone will find different challenges in this? So some people might, for example, be good at some sports, not good at others. Some people might be good at mental arithmetics and not good at, you know, other things, human arts, whatever it is. People will be all, you know, people are different in all skills. So someone might be really good at this area, might be good at that area. So they're good at sports, they're good at social media, you know, interacting with people, they've got friends and so on, but they're not good at work, or they might not be good with their health, or they might be having problems at home, whatever. And some other person might be really good with their health, really good with their, you know, what's going on in the house. They're really happy there, they're happy with their health, they're happy with work, but then they don't have many friends, or they don't, you know, get on well in social media, or they're not good at any sports or skills or whatever. You know, you've got a whole balance of so many things that are going around people, and everyone's got something or another. So the whole point of this whole video is we want to be here, which is, once you understand all of this, you have good thoughts. Even if you met someone for first time, they're doing something, just have some good thoughts about them as best as you can. Make excuses and try not to have bad thoughts. Of course, if somebody is definitely still doing something bad, okay, they've got a bad habit which they know they should stop, or whatever, or they're badly influencing friends or badly influencing people, and you've reached out to them, you've given them da'wah, you've called them to the right path, and they're not doing it, well, you know, sometimes you just have to leave those people alone for your own safety. That's different. But we're talking about normal situation when you see people. So this whole video is really about normal people. It's not about you coming across criminals or whatever. You know, so you've got to allow, you know, room for thought. Now, all this stuff that I said to you, it's from studies that I've done. Even when I did a psychology degree, there's studies that you do, and it helps you to think that, you know, where most people might just look at that little area here, that's all they see. They don't see anything else. That's all they see. They don't wish to understand anything more than that area there. It really doesn't do justice to that person or to yourself with the judgment that you made. Hope that helps with people. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.